Welcome back to Punk Rock Theologian. Last week we began the topic of suffering and saw that it's normal in life in general, but especially for following Jesus. Today we'll see where it's actually incredibly beneficial for a Christian. Honestly, it's beneficial for anybody. Like one of the shirts from my son's swim team says, if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. I love that line because it's just so obviously true. That strong guy in the gym didn't start out that way. He began lifting smaller weights at first and worked his way up. Athletes get this. Why don't Christians understand that it's just as true for our spiritual lives? We learn to follow Jesus in baby steps and work our way up to bigger things. Once again, we can find hints of this in some great song lyrics, like Fireflight for Those Who Wait.
The pressure makes us stronger. The struggle makes us hunger. The hard lessons make the difference, and the difference makes it worth it.
Or more recent and a really good song, POD Bow Down.
The pain today is power tomorrow. Keep on coming, but you'll never catch me running, 'cause I won't bow down.
Both of these are teaching the idea that it's the hard things we go through that make us stronger, that give us the ability to tackle bigger and bolder things that come later. That's exactly what you find in the New Testament. Peter, Paul, and James all teach that suffering is like a refining fire. It's part of God's redemptive plan, and it shapes us into Christ's image. Let's start with Peter in 1 Peter 4, beginning at verse 12. He said, "Dear friends, don't be surprised at the fiery trials you're going through, as if something strange were happening to you. Instead, be very glad, for these trials make you partners with Christ in his suffering, so that you will have the wonderful joy of seeing his glory when it's revealed to all the world." So, from Peter's perspective, suffering is, again, not surprising, but it's part of making us identify with Christ so that we can be with him and unite with him and excited to see him and not feel ashamed or embarrassed when we see him. Suffering is just a step to maturity, which is the same idea that you get from Paul in Romans 5, starting at verse 3. He says, "We rejoice too when we run into problems and trials, for we know that they help us develop endurance. And endurance develops strength of character, and character strengthens our confident hope of salvation." To Paul, the suffering, the hard circumstance is just the first step. It's kind of the on ramp that gives us a chance to learn and grow and take another step and develop endurance and character and hope, things that are very worthwhile to us. And once again, you find that exact same concept of growing through suffering coming from Jesus' own brother, James. And apparently, it was a really big deal for him because as soon as he finishes the introduction in verse 1 of chapter 1, we get right into it at verse 2. "Dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind come your way, consider it an opportunity for great joy. For you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. And let it grow. For when your endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect and complete, needing nothing." Now, I don't know about you, but I really like the idea of being perfect and complete and needing nothing. But I don't think I'm there yet. And so apparently, according to James, I've got to build this endurance, and that comes through doing the hard things. Like I said, back to the swim team shirt, if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. So lean into the challenge. Don't be afraid of it. It's those hard, miserable experiences that transform us. Suffering helps us in a number of ways. It can help us learn compassion, it can help us develop resilience, and most importantly, it helps us become more like Christ, just like we saw last week. He suffered. He went into it, didn't run away from it, and he knew that it was going to serve a purpose. That's how we can do it too. The suffering comes up and we don't enjoy it. Hebrews 12:2 tells us that it was because of the joy set before him that he endured the cross. It wasn't just suffering for the sake of suffering, but it was suffering because he could look past the suffering through to the other side of it and see the benefit that this was going to cause. That's what we just saw from Peter, Paul, and James, trying to encourage us that there is value, there's a benefit, but only if we lean in and push through. When you run away from it, you don't get stronger. Suffering is there to build us, to strengthen us, to develop us. So let's let that happen. Otherwise, you're suffering for nothing. You still go through the hard times, but you don't get any stronger. I don't want to do that. If I'm going to go through a hard time, I want it to mean something. So let's lean in. Let's trust God and ask Him to show us what's on the other side. And whether we can see it clearly or not, trust that He has a plan on the other side and He's going to use it for good, just like Romans 8:28 teaches us. We can trust Him not just to have a purpose for it, but to carry us through it. That's what He did with Jesus. And once again, it's the same thing He's doing with us. That's how we can follow His example in our own lives.